big, huge breaking news came out last night. Joe Biden chooses Kamala Harris. Snooze. We knew this was happening all along. They were floating Susan Rice. They were floating Elizabeth Warren. But everyone knew all along that Kamala Harris is just one big opportunist. And she was someone that they wanted to get in there with Joe because they know they can control her. And if you're not sure if she's a malleable piece of clay that can be told to say or do whatever the powers that be want, the one thing I want to remind you is back in the primary season when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were going head to head, she was talking about how he was against integrating schools. And she was the little girl, the little black girl that got put on the bus to get integrated. And she called Joe Biden a racist. Straight up, right in front of a full national TV audience. This is what Kamala Harris said. Now, right after that, a bunch of allegations came out that Joe was fondling people and smelling people and hugging people and groping people and all this other stuff. And a woman came out who was a well-respected woman from Nevada, and she said, in Nevada, she said that Joe Biden molested her, or at least attempted to molest her. And when she came out and said this, it was national news for about a minute. But more importantly, at that time, she called Joe Biden a racist, okay? And she said he stood with racist people. And then she also said that she believed his accusers who accused him of fondling, groping, assaulting, and all this other stuff. And here's a headline from back then. This is back in April of 2019. Kamala Harris said, "I believe them." So these people who came out and made claims that Joe Biden had done a whole bunch of weird, pervert things to them, Kamala Harris came out and said, "I believe them, and their stories need to be heard." So now you want to talk about the bigger conspiracy that I've been talking to you about for months now, going back to the primaries. At the time, if you remember, somehow or another, Pete Buttigieg won Iowa, and he used this. He was working with this company that was formed by a bunch of Clintonites, and they had contracted with the Iowa State Democratic Party to count all the votes, and then all of a sudden this software that they bought was all glitched out, and Biden doesn't win, okay? And then all of a sudden Buttigieg is the nom du jour, and everybody's talking about Buttigieg, and they're talking about everybody else, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, as soon as they got a pry bar in on Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders had an actual movement going with actual human beings who believe in what he's for. Not that I agree with it, but Joe Biden's been in office for 45 years, and he's got a constituency of none. He's trying to get Barack Obama's people to be with him. Now he's bringing in Kamala Harris. The one knock against Joe Biden that people cannot forget is, and he's bragged about this publicly, he was the author of the 94 crime bill. The 94 crime bill put hundreds of thousands of minorities in jail for 25 years for minor drug offenses. And I'm not for drug offenses, but somebody got caught with a small bag of weed, okay, and they were part of a larger conspiracy or something, nonviolent crimes, and they went in jail for 25 years. At the same time, Joe Biden passed that bill, and then a few years later, Kamala Harris was, as many know, she was the side piece. She was the gumata to Willie Brown of San Francisco. He was 60. She was 29. They had an outward relationship where she was his public girlfriend while he was married to someone else. He appointed her to 2 high-level positions, which were appointed positions, and then put her in position to run for Attorney General. When she became Attorney General, she threw and prosecuted thousands and thousands of minorities under Joe Biden's crime bill. We'll talk about this a lot more today. We got a great show coming at you. Xen Sams is going to be with us next, right after this.